Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Living Large Las Vegas. I am your host, Coby Sherlock, and today back in the lab on Free Friday, Mr. Derek Parent. Derek, say hello to everybody.
Hello.
Guys, today we wanted to jump in and just deliver something different. I feel like this week we've really been talking about a lot of topics that revolve around what we're up to in the community, some of the work that we're doing, specifically obviously revolving around our work with mortgages and investments. But today we just wanted to have a little fun and just kind of talk about, a little bit about things personally that drive us, what keeps us on track, what motivates us, how to attack your goals, just like basic things to really hopefully inspire folks that are considering things in their life, whether it be career-based, life-based, both, and how to put that vision forward and attack it. So, Derek, man, what's your experience in some of this? Like, I guess my question to you would be, what drives you?
Life. Waking up every day. Not letting what happened yesterday affect me today. So living in the moment. Purpose was one of the greatest gifts that we have, is wake up with a purpose daily, and this industry, cultivating new people and teaching and educating and just being a part of the community. But for me, many years ago, I think the biggest gift that I ever received was the gift of forgiveness, and not allowing, like I said just a little while ago, not allowing the past to affect your future. And I think a lot of people do that. They let their past define them. And your past is just that. It's nothing that you can change, right? So you live today, in the moment, not what you did or didn't do yesterday. And I that goes into a lot, I hear it a lot, like, I wish I would have, or I could have, or why didn't I? And that reminds me of this, I just heard not that long ago, like, don't practice things you want to be good at. Right? So a football coach said that one time. He says to a player, he goes to catch a ball, like, I can't catch the ball. Damn it. And the coach says, hey, stop that. Don't practice things you don't want to be good at. So if you practice always, saying you're not good at something, or if you practice telling yourself you can't do it, you're going to find out that you can't do it. But if you practice at it, you're going to be great at it. Eventually you're going to get it. You want to be a great artist, practice. So there's some things that, in life that is going through, so many years of the journey, right? It's not letting the past define me.
The past can be crippling for people, man. So many people I've met in my walk, I don't want to say they're bound by their past, but my experience is that when I'm talking to folks, who are forward focused, it's a lot different energy. It's a lot different level of commitment of what they're doing now than those whom I've crossed who are, you hear it all the time, like stuck in the past, or, almost imprisoned by something that happened, or something they did, or something that happened to them in their past. For me, when, something that drives me has always been, a bit of service, right? Like I have a lot of fun, and I try to keep, this balance of creating happiness in my own life on the forefront. I really do. When I was 15, Hurricane Katrina, I was 14 technically, Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans, and I'll never forget what my dad told me. We moved to Greenbrier, Tennessee. I was, I wasn't like the worst kid in New Orleans, but I was definitely in some troubled situations. I probably wasn't hanging out with the best crew. Making bad decisions. And when I got to Nashville, Greenbrier, Tennessee, my dad looked at me, I'll never forget, and he said, this is your clean slate. You can do whatever you want with it. And it took me a minute to understand, what does that mean? Like, you have a clean slate. Like, essentially everything of my past was this was my opportunity and wash to create moving forward. And that's what I did, man. I was like, look, I'm going to own where I'm at. I'm going to take advantage of the situation, and I'm going to put forth an effort to something new that I want to, live for. I was a teenager. It was definitely easier then, or at least that was my understanding at the time. But I even think about when I moved to Vegas a few years ago, in Nashville, heavily involved. I have a great network there. My friends, my family, everybody's there. And so I was having this conversation of being 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And it goes back to being bound by your past for me. I didn't want to be stuck with my mind and heart in Nashville and miss something in my day-to-day walk in Las Vegas. For me, it was finding my vision of what I was up to and balancing it with where I'm at in the present and what opportunities I can have moving forward without missing them because of, thinking backwards or, being stuck in the past. I always struggle with how do I blend the worlds, right? Yeah. Like in my head, it felt like two different places. I get off a plane in Las Vegas. I felt like it was all new, and social media and things like that helped me stay connected. Cell phones, of course, with my family and friends, but it was always a troubling idea of like, how do I make my worlds come together so that I didn't necessarily feel like I wasn't still in Nashville. My relationships were getting weaker. I wanted to keep everything at a level 10, right?
Yeah. Well, weakness is not really a thing. It's just a thought. But, what I heard you say is, I think the biggest thing is forgiveness. You have to, in life, you have to forgive others. No matter what happened to you, what they did, is forgiveness. You find forgiveness in yourself, forgiveness in others. And that's where it's where the real power comes from, the strength that we all have. I think also a thing is you have to have mentors. You get a mentor that you talk to daily, weekly, monthly, or just someone that you follow on a podcast or someone you follow, who motivates you. I like a lot of what David Goggins says. He's great. I love a lot of stuff that he says, and it's mental toughness, just getting past it inside your mind, like pain. And that's why I say, like, my thoughts a lot of times were not of weakness, right? We're not a victim to anything. The only time we're a victim is when we decide to be a victim, but we're not victims of anything. And so for me, a lot of it was just the forgiveness. And I think that, one of my mentors, I had a lot of great mentors in my life and a lot of great opportunities to spend with a lot of amazing people. One of my really big mentors passed away a few years ago, accidentally from the Super Bowl, but just some of the things that, through the life, the lessons I've learned, they're amazing. A lot of the mistakes I've made, I would say the mistakes and the things that have happened were great learning experiences to create the platform that we have now. Like, our business is amazing. We have a couple of new things starting up, podcasts, everything that we've been doing, everything I've made mistakes on led up to this. So the fear of making mistakes have never existed because I've made so many of them. That only thing that came out of them was successes. So, and then, like I said, when you were a kid, when you landed in Tennessee, it was realizing that start that you had over, that clean slate your father talked about, was about the forgiveness of what you did or didn't do in the past. So, there's so many great learning experiences I've had throughout my life, and there's so many that we can honestly talk about and could talk about it for days. I had a mentor, Jorge, who teaches mastery, and he says it means nothing. Like, life has really very little meaning to it. The only meaning it has is what you give it, right? So when I heard it means nothing, it like completely shifted my mindset. Like it means nothing. Something small or big that happens, if you don't give it meaning, it doesn't mean anything. So I've learned a lot, and I'm grateful that I get to mentor and teach and educate and just be a part of this community. But shape like guys just like you and Dwayne and people that are coming up in this industry, and people that want to do this type of work, right? And just see the following, just see what we're creating and what's going on it's been a blessing to watch.
Man, in college, I had a mentor. His name was Clyde Willis. He was one of my professors in the political science department at Middle Tennessee State University. Clyde passed away a few years ago as well. But I'll never forget, I was in Clyde's class. He always wanted to be called Clyde too. He wasn't really down for like Professor Willis or Dr. whatever, he wanted to be Clyde. And we were in Clyde's class, and he always, and anybody that had this man knows this term, he would talk about epichet and what it meant to him. And he would always teach us to practice suspending judgment, right, in any situation, and taking your life that way, right? Like essentially walking your steps of suspending judgment of experiences, of people, really just trying to come from an even keel, balanced. I'm not going to make a you know, a decision about somebody or something like that, by their mistakes or by their momentary reactions. I love Epichet. It was kind of my first step into understanding a little bit about how to, you know, how to have that clean slate, how to give, you know, everything a chance. And Clyde taught me that, man. It always sticks with me. I'm going to always hold on to it and try to teach it to my family and friends in the way that I do. But I say that because in my journey too, relationships are so important, and they've supported me in getting past my past, right? Like, you know, meeting folks who have made mistakes and who have skyrocketed in their life, you know, in production, in achieving their goals. It helps me to realize, you know, and me personally, to realize it's okay. Yeah. You know, it's okay to not be okay in this situation or something that's happened. Accept it. You know, put on paper, if you have to, what's your plans in this world to contribute and create and execute it. And for me, we practice at my home vision boards. Jane and I, when I first moved here, we put a vision board into place. We said, we're going to achieve this. And sure enough, we crushed every single one. And now we have a new vision board in our new home. And sure enough, we're making our, essentially big strides in achieving all of those. We're not done yet, but I'm looking forward to achieving everything on that board.
Life is a marathon, not a race. So, you know, you said something, you know, judgment. How, you know, it's, you hear someone say something about someone and they automatically go to judgment, right? Instead of my experience of people, like I don't label people. I experience them from my experience, right? And then either I want to hang around with them or I don't want to associate with them, right? But I that's a big one. Like you hear people say, you know, talk about people a lot of times, right? It doesn't matter what industry or what it is, right? But how quickly people get labeled from judgment. So one of the greatest gifts you have is coming from nothing, right?
Right.
You know, it's a new day, right? So we don't put labels on people, and we give people second chances and starts. And again, it's, I don't know, I had an interview today. Someone was supposed to come in for an interview today, and they just, you know, last minute didn't show up, you know, and they text me, and I said, you know, I go, thank you for applying anyway, but you know, they wanted to reschedule, and you know, personally, they text me back saying, you know, a lot upsetting me. I don't know, the text was weird, but I said, this has nothing to do about offending me. You didn't offend me. I go, how you start is normally how you end. So my experience in the past with people that have wanted to work for me and they've came up with certain excuses about showing up and not showing up, I realized that they just don't show up. So, you know, for me, that was, I thought about that this morning as I was texting, that it wasn't someone I wanted to work with.
Showing up's always half the battle. They say that, right? And that's in anything. I mean, it goes much bigger than just showing up, you know, to a place or on time, but showing up for your family, for your friends, for your relationships, for the people in your community. Yeah. I feel like, do I always know what I'm getting into when I commit to doing something? Hell no. Right? Like
no, not with Jane and Rachel. You never know.
I did not know what I was getting into when I moved to Las Vegas to be with Jane, and it's been amazing, but I didn't know what the roller coaster would be like. It's awesome. But no, really, when I'm thinking about it, somebody asks me or invites me to something, whether it be, you know, business, whatever their intention of inviting me personally is, do I know what I'm getting into? Absolutely not. But you better damn believe I'm showing up, man, because one, I'm going to get an experience. Cool. I'll pocket it and hopefully learn something from it. And I'm a firm believer in you got to give it a chance. You never know what's going to come of it. You never know what you can create with that person or maybe someone you're going to meet at that place. So I'm with you on showing up. And I know you said, you know, obviously somebody that doesn't show up even for an interview, right? Well, like if they don't show up, they're not going to show up for you. I promise.
If you commit. If you're not committed, just say no, right? I mean, it's a yes or a no. Most of the time, most questions that we get asked are yes or no. Yep. That's why I'm very detailed with asking my questions in lending, because the question that I ask, I don't ask two questions at the same time. It confuses people. Sales 101, ask one question, get one answer. Best thing that you can do. But when you ask a question, you know how to ask the next great question, right? So when I love listen intently. I'm a super intent listener. I look at people, I hear what they're saying, and I ask questions. And I think that's contributes to some of the major success I've had in my career, because I listen to people, and then I listen, and then I ask the question once it's answered. Sometimes silence is uncomfortable, but I'm willing to sit on the phone as long as I can until I get my question answered.
Silence is okay. You know, I feel like a lot of people need to talk through awkwardness. Nah, man, just let things, bloom for themselves.
Yeah.
You said commitment. Two things come to mind. One, commitment and the lack thereof being able to commit. The other is overcommitment. When you commit to something, what practices do you personally have to be disciplined enough to follow through on the commitments that you make? And also, second part of that question, I would say, is how do you gauge your ability to, how do you gauge the amount of commitments you can have at one time and not overcommit?
So I love a really packed schedule, right? So if it's on my schedule, I'm doing it, right? So like the stuff that you guys put on my calendar, a podcast, if it's on there, I'm doing it, right? So my commitment is a lot of time, mostly it's my calendar, right? But also it's everything I do, right? So when I get up in the morning, how I eat, committed to my eating, committed to what I'm taking, right? Committed to my phone calls, committed to meetings, committed to being with people. Like I love a jam-packed schedule, but I also have to say no to some things, right? So overcommitment is real, right? So sometimes we double book appointments because sometimes one doesn't show and we want to service as many people as we possibly can. So I believe there's a level of overcommitment with booking appointments is okay because we have other people that can handle them. But if we know it's an event or something that we're committed to, like when I staff, right? When I do my LP stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I'm committed to being on those calls, it's a commitment level. And I believe that you have to, there's a lot of commitments in life. You have commitments to family, you have commitments to your word, lots of commitments. But, I firmly believe that you can have everything, great family life, great work life, commitment to whatever you're giving back to, if you sit on a board, if you volunteer time, there's so much time that we have in a day, right, that you can get it all done. And I think what happens is when people have super packed schedules, they always go, I'm too busy. And that word too busy creates a lot of free time because something happens, right, and doesn't show up and you end up having some free time. But this constant word you get in your head, I'm too busy, I'm too busy, I'm too busy. As you know, I don't really use I'm busy as a word, right? Because I personally believe that I can fit as much as I possibly can in my schedule in one day.
You find that a calendar is your best tool for organization?
Well, I found out it's great for accountability.
See that?
It's not so much organization, it's just accountability, right? So if I wake up in the morning, I grab my phone and I look at what's first, right? So listen, sometimes I may not have a super busy day, so I know that I get to wear jeans to work, right? I know I don't have to come in like overly dressed suit, right? But I know if I look at the calendar and if it's only have one person coming in, I know I'm dressing, right? That's just my mental goals here. Dress for success. 20-something years ago when I got in this industry and business, that's something always stuck in my mind. And there's I do a lot of like, I'll watch a lot of like movies, like sales movies. I love that type of stuff, right? Sales stuff, and some things aren't, some of the topics are not that great, but the point sometimes is really good, right? And some books, some great books, some audio books, just spending time doing some of that stuff, daily practices, getting used to stuff. Yeah, I mean daily practices are huge. No matter, it doesn't matter if it's walking in the door every day at 7:00, right? If you have a daily practice, you get really good at it, right? And you get really, really disciplined. So my daily practice is waking up, at 5:30 a.m. It's a daily practice. No matter what time I go to bed, it's 5:30. So for me, that's just something that I enjoy doing.
Something we talked about, and by the way, for viewers that are watching the video, today's Friday. That's why we're dressed down. But we talk about commitment. We talked about, accountability. Something I learned recently in my life, which I wish I would have learned a long time ago. And that's just a personal decision that I didn't make an adjustment to fix what I could have fixed. But Britt Hansen, I'm going to give her a shout out right now. Britt was awesome to work with. And she told me one time, just flat out, man, if you know Britt, she is so forward.
She was my LP coach.
I know, that's awesome. Britt looks at me in the face. She tells me, or it was on a call. She's like, essentially, your follow-through game sucks. She just told me straight up, your follow-through sucks. And at the time, I wasn't offended. I was just like, damn, dude, like this is not the first time I've heard this, right? This isn't the first time at this point in my life I've heard that my follow-through sucked and what I was up to. I finally knew I needed something. Mentally, I was not able to, I needed something to help me, a tool or something to get me out of it. So I started to practice with, using different organizers, my cell phone. I was like, man, I don't know why I can't stay committed to my phone and utilize it as a guide for my day or whatever. So heavily started using a calendar. I was committed in my head. I was like, I'm not going to let Britt, think I suck in this follow through thing as I move forward in life. I need to, it was my drive, right? It motivated the shit out of me for her to be honest with me. Oddly, her husband now comes full circle, Eric Hansen. I can't remember, Eric and I were just having a conversation about life, and he was telling me what he uses as a tool. And at the time, he told me he used the Full Focus Planner. It's just the name of a planner that's out there. But I checked it out. I ordered it. Game changer. So their family and themselves, I don't know if they know how much of an impact they made, but it helps me to use tools to follow through to my commitments. And one I've been using is a Full Focus Planner to be able to chop through and schedule out my day to day and put my visions and my, steps to my goals on paper, as well as obviously my commitments day to day on a calendar. So my point of saying this is, if you're out there and you're looking to get to goals and you are having commitment issues, obviously coaching is always something I would recommend. Look out for a coach, look out for your mentor. Ask the questions, how can I improve? Accept the fact that you need improvement. We can grow and educate ourselves every single day. And for me, that time, I didn't necessarily ask Britt for that feedback, but Britt knew what I needed, and that was some honesty and feedback. And sure enough, both Britt and Eric were able to provide me with the feedback I needed, as well as a tool to support me to get out of what I was in. And damn, it's made all the difference in what I'm up to currently day to day. It keeps me focused, man. It keeps me following through.
There's two things I would say. One, I know Britt really well, and she's someone that I would hire for like a personal coach. Right? She is super honest, and she's gonna give it to you, right?
That's right.
But I'll tell you. So I've had people ask, hey, can you mentor, right? And they think I'm gonna chase them down. Like when you there's a mentor and mentoree. If you want it bad enough, you call your mentor daily. You call them as much as you possibly can. But when that person commits to being your mentor, they know what they're getting into. We all know what we're getting into. We know why we're there and what our purpose is, right? So I've had people who, hey, will you mentor me? And then not even follow up. Like, I'm going to give them, I'm going to say yes. I'm going to give them this little gold mentor key, and they're going to unlock the world that I've created, right? It doesn't happen like that. You have to want it. I think the biggest thing is people don't want to work. People don't want to. They don't want it, right? They say they do, but what are you willing to do? And I think it's all about, the will and the drive, right? So you talked about getting the planner. You talk about Britt being super honest. That's just her integrity. That's her character. Mm-hmm. When she tells you something, it's not because she wants to bash you, because she's being super honest with you, right? And if the world had a lot more people just like that in it, we'd be a better place. But when you're honest and with everybody and your integrity matters, then mentors, they come easy. They come in your life, and then you find the next mentor, and it's always changing. It's always shifting. And I honestly believe that you should have great people, great mentors in your life. Follow great people. There's a lot of great podcasts out there. Watch them. Be a part of it. But when you want to be a part of someone's life, be a part of someone's life. But I know when they ask me to mentor or be a part of their life, I'm 100% committed to them. But I'm just not going to chase them down. I'm not going to chase someone to be great. If you want to be great,
I get it. It makes 100% sense, man. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to ask for support from someone's life experience and guidance, you better show up for them.
Yeah. I have, there's a mortgage guy. I love him to death out of San Antonio, Josh Sigmund. I asked him to be my mentor, right? And I don't chase him down enough. He said, yeah. And he knew, right? He's a great guy. He knew, what I was looking for, someone that I can bounce stuff off, because he's just an amazing guy. I met him in 2009, and he just got on stage for the first time at a mastermind conference, and just the vulnerability, and then to see him for all these years, like teaching and educating. He's honestly, I would say he's like a superhero of mine. It's hard to put that label on people, but him to me, I know he's in the industry, and he runs a great bank out of Texas, right, in San Antonio. But I would say out of anyone in this world, I would call him a superhero. And, he's someone that mentored me. So, I mean, when you have great people inside your life, it's all you do is rise.
Well, rising is important, man. I mean, we keep everything that we can do to elevate ourselves, elevate our lives. I know we talked about a lot today. By the way, listeners, I know we talked about a lot today, and I want to do this more for sure. Break some of this down, really focus on some of these things: commitment, accountability, following through, tools for success, ways to create goals, visions, how to implement action, how to take action. So definitely be listening forward so that we can keep getting to this stuff. Derek, you have any last thoughts about this?
Yeah, well, you want to change your life, change someone else's. You want to change what you're doing, change someone else's. In other words, give back. Instead of being, we talked about this the other day, consumer versus partner. Stop being a consumer. Give back. Be a partner. Be a partner of community. Be a partner at work. I don't care if you're W-2'd and $7 an hour. Be a consumer. One of the best places I love going is In-N-Out, the drive-through. And I love going through. I love that 15 minutes it takes, sometimes a little longer. I love watching those kids just work. The place is so well ran, and it's one of the few places where you actually can watch, right, with the window and the drive-through coming through, and it's not just the line, it's not the burger, right? For me, it's the experience, and it just I just see the how In-N-Out trains people and what they do. It's amazing. I think that's a big level of commitment, but honestly, it's changing someone's life.
So invest in your people. Invest. Give all you got every single day. And again, be listening. We're going to keep bringing things to you here moving forward. We do got to cut it short today. We got some things on the rise that we got to handle. But Derek, thanks so much for just talking with me, man. I always love picking your brain. I choose you, man. I'll show up to take everything you got because I want to hear what you have to say. I want to hear, ways that have worked for you. And hopefully I can improve my lifestyle every single day by doing such. So thank you.
You will, buddy.
All right, guys. Thanks so much. Living Large, Las Vegas. We're coming back to you, and we're going to keep talking about this goodness. And again, if you have questions, call us, 702-331-8185. My cell phone number is 615-715-7245. Derek, what's your cell?
702-354-1400.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you, man. Thanks so much.
Thank you.